Hi, I'm Jacqueline Jonglai and I'm here to report about the attitudes of risk, management attitudes and principles, and 7 essential management principles. If may question kayo about sa aking report, you can ask me after our video. Enjoy listening! So before I start, sinong may idea sa inyo about the attitudes of risk? Yes, Miss Kina?
Risk attitude is chosen response to uncertainty that matters, influenced by perception.
Yes, tama yon. Sa madaling salita, ang attitudes of risk ay ang approach natin every time na may ma-encounter tayong risk base sa ating pag-unawa. So the first example here is, the concept of risk is essentially a modern one, meaning ang approach na kailangan natin sa risk ay napapanahon. Sabi din dito na si Giren sa nagpakita ng idea of risk sa ating society, and he defines the risk na ang kaibahan ng danger sa ganitong aspeto ay ito ay may kaugnayan sa ating kapaligiran, lalo na sa mga pwedeng kalabasan ng actions natin. Risk relates to future events, means anumang risk ang kaharapin natin sa ngayon at kung paano natin sila matitake ay may kaugnayan pa rin sa atin in the future events. A concept could only have arisen in a society bent on controlling the future, means magiging mali lang ito sa society depende kung paano i-approach ng society in the future. At alam naman natin na ang risk management is about taking decisions at kung paano natin i-process ito. At kada daw magde-decide tayo, meron tayong options na dapat i-consider. First, personal and corporate wealth, mga pag-aari. It's either pwedeng mawala or pwedeng madagdagan. 2 is attitude toward risk. Kung haharapin mo ba to resolve or pipigilan mo na lang. 3 is previous experience. So sabi nga nila, experience is the best teacher. Kung noon pa lang, alam mo nang di mag-work, so why take risk? Or pwede rin namang umasa ka na mas magiging okay to sa second try. The example given is, bumili ka ng ticket sa loto kasi ang goal mo ay ang manalo. Syempre may iisip mo pa din na what if matalo ka, nandun yung pagdadalawang isip. Magti-take risk ba ako para manalo or ikip ko na lang itong pambili ng loto ko para di masayang. And if you choose na tumaya pa din despite the chance na matalo ka, doon na pumapasok yung prospect theory. Ito yung handa kang sumugal kaysa wala kang ginawa para at least man lang makuha mo yung goal mo. Sinasabi din dito na sa pagpili ng desisyon, kailangan natin pumili ng ideyang mas kapaki-pakinabang. The emotional element in decision making is highlighted by a famous mathematical problem known as the Monty Hall Dilemma. So, Miss Paulino, ano nga ba yung Monty Hall Dilemma?
The Monty Hall problem is a brain teaser in the form of a probability puzzle loosely based on the American television game show Let's Make a Deal, and named after its original host, Monty Hall.
So sa game show na to, bibigyan ka nila ng 3 doors na pagpipilian na may nilalamang 2 wrong answers and 1 correct. Pag nakapili ka na ng sagot mo, i-reveal ng host yung isang maling sagot para mas tumaas yung chance mong manalo, and it's up to you kung mag-i-stick ka pa sa first answer mo or babaguhin mo pa to. Human nature, however, encourage us to stick with the first choice. Best example nito is exam na multiple choice. Di ba we experience na halimbawa, you answered the question with letter A and out of confusion, pinalitan mo ng letter B dahil nagdalawang isip ka. And after checking the exam, nalaman mong tama pala yung first choice mo. Kaya most of us, mag-i-stick na lang sa first choice para maiwasan ng magsisi. Next is, ang emosyon daw natin ay maaaring makaapekto sa paggawa natin ng desisyon dahil maaari tayong bumuo o umisip ng mga pagpipilian na makakatulong sa atin na ma-avoid kung anumang pwedeng maging bad cause nito. The risk tolerance of an organization will lie somewhere on the spectrum from risk-averse to actively risk-seeking. So ano nga ba yung risk-averse and risk-seeking?
The term risk-averse describes the investor who chooses the preservation of capital over the potential for a higher than average return.
Risk-seeking is one's acceptance of greater risk in finance, often related to price volatility and uncertainty in investments or trading in exchange for the potential for higher returns. Risk-seekers are more interested in capital gains from speculative assets than capital preservation from lower risk assets.
Thank you, Mr. Kaponpol and Ms. Magsino. Yes, that means na sa risk-averse ay pinipili nilang i-prevent yung mga possible risk. While sa risk-seeking naman is the more na nag-accept sila ng greater risk, mas naniniwala silang merong higher returns. Management attitudes and principles. Ms. Montecillo, can you tell us what is attitudes?
Attitudes are individuals' general affective, cognitive, and intentional response toward objects, other people, themselves, or social issues.
Thank you. So yung attitude daw, yung response natin sa iba't ibang bagay at pangyayari. Here's the table of attitudes and impact. First, extreme risk aversion, meaning na yung possible choice natin is not that convenient and not that possible to do easily. Next, pass the buck. Ito naman yung di na natin ma-reach yung purpose natin dahil nahihirapan tayong magdesisyon. Third, no news is good news. Sinasabi dito na sa simpleng pagre-report ng manager ay maaaring makapag-cause na ng risk. Naaalala ko dito yung kasabihang di siya masasaktan kung hindi niya malalaman. Fourth, knee-jerk reaction. Ito naman yung wala pang cause pero you immediately finding cure na agad sa mga symptoms pa lang. Panglima is shoot the messenger. Ito yung wag mo akong bigyan ng problema or better, don't talk to me kung problema lang ang dala mo. And last is make it so. Sabi nga nila, always think positive. 7 Essential Management Principle. Miss Marisigan, ano naman yung principle?
A principle is a general belief that you have about the way you should behave, which influences your behavior.
Correct. Ang principle naman daw ay nakakaapekto sa behavior natin. The first principle is corporate perspective. Ito yung nire-recognize na natin yung pwedeng maging masamang impact na magiging behavior natin. Second, forward-looking view. Ito naman yung iniisip na natin, ina-identify at ina-anticipate na natin yung potential outcomes. Open communication. Ito yung maaaring formal, informal, or impromptu communication. Integrated management. Ito naman yung ina-adapt natin yung methods and tools sa RIS para sa project infrastructure and culture. Panglima, continuous process. Dito naman yung kumbaga sinusustain lang natin yung mga past process. 6. Shared vision. Ito naman yung nakafocus tayo sa result. And last, teamwork. Sa madaling salita is pagtutulungan.
Good afternoon, I'm Mark John Francis Barayang and today, didiscuss ko sa inyo ngayon together with Mr. Villanueva ang 5 steps of risk management model. So bago tayo mag-start, i-recall muna natin yung meaning ng risk management. Alam naman natin ang risk management ay ang process kung saan ina-identify natin yung risk, ina-analyze, and then gumagawa tayo ng response towards this risk. 5 stages or steps of a risk management model. Let's start with number 1, risk identification. Risk identification is the first step in managing risks. Risk identification is the process of determining risks that could potentially prevent the program, enterprise, or investment from achieving its objectives. May tuturing na pinakamahalagang step ito dahil gaya nga nung napag-usapan natin last meeting, kapag halimbawa ay may isang risk na hindi na-identify at nasa monitoring na tayo na ibang risks, maaaring mag-cause ito ng delay o ng bigger problems dahil iisip ka pa ng bagong paraan para ma-resolve ito. Sa isang project plan, ito yung mga areas na likely associated sa risk o yung mga areas na prone sa risk. Yung una, tasks that rely on the completion of other work before they begin. Let's say for example, ang assigned task sa iyo ay mag-analyze ng data o isa kang data analyst. Maaaring magkaroon ng delay kung yung data gathering ay naka-assign sa ibang tao. So, ibig sabihin, kung walang maipoprovide na data, hindi mo magagawa yung task mo. Next, task that none of the team has ever done before. Ito yung mahirap na part. Nagiging risk ito kung walang may alam sa inyo kung paano gagawin yung isang gawain. Next is use of unfamiliar technologies. So ito, nagiging risk ito dahil hindi natin malalaman yung maaaring maging result. Kung hindi naman tayo familiar sa isang technology, mas maganda siguro na pag-aralan muna. So yung next, tasks that involve third parties. Sa pag-involve natin ng third parties sa isang project, hindi natin masisigurado kung tama ba o 100% yung way nila sa paggawa. Kasi minsan, mas maganda pa rin kung sarili nating project team yung gagawa ng mga task. Migration of data from one system to another. Minsan kasi sa pagtatransfer natin ng data, maring may mawala, mabura, o kaya may mapalitan. Reliance on suppliers to deliver software upgrades at a specific time. Dito kasi sa software upgrades, hindi natin sure yung availability ng supplier. Kasi minsan kapag kailangan mo sila, unavailable. Yan ganon. Next, availability of key decision makers at critical points. So, isang crucial na part. Ito dahil halimbawa nagkaroon ng isang situation, tapos wala dun yung inaasahan natin na dapat mag-resolve at gumawa ng mga decisions. Magiging mas malaking problema yon. Yung next, decisions that involve more than one department or team. So, hindi naman may iwasan na magkaroon ng mga ganitong bagay kung saan kinakailangan mas maraming decision makers. Kaya dapat ang gawin natin, may sapat tayong tao para sa bawat parts. Resources or stuff that are outside your control. So, hindi naman lahat kaya mo i-handle, kaya doon, posible magkaroon din ng risk sa mga bagay na yon. And then yung last, any component of the plan based on assumption rather than fact. So, ito talaga yung risky na part. Kasi isinasagawa natin yung isang part ng plan gamit lamang ang assumptions at hindi facts. Dapat nating tandaan na sa isang pagkakamali lang na magagawa natin, malaki din yung magiging epekto sa project plan at tsaka dun sa organization. Lahat ng mga nabanggit na yan ay part ng internal area or environment ng isang organization na prone sa risk. Organizational environment. Organizational environments are composed of forces or institutions surrounding an organization that affect performance, operations, and resources. It includes all of the elements that exist outside of the organization's boundaries and have the potential to affect a portion or all of the organization. So, yung organizational environment, yan yung mga surrounding forces na nakakaapekto sa performance at operation ng isang organization. External environment. So, kung yung kanina ay mga internal environment, ito naman yung mga external. Resources, customer, social networks, competitors, supplier, at distributor. So, meron tayo dito ng example kung paano ina-assess yung mga risk gamit yung qualitative risk analysis. So, ayan, makikita natin dyan sa table. Sabi nga, mas madali daw i-assess yung risk na high probability pero less impact kaysa dun sa less probability na high impact. Kasi yung probability, chance pa lang yun na mangyari. Yung impact, yun na mismo yung magiging effect. Number 3 sa 5 steps ng risk management model, quantitative risk assessment. A quantitative risk analysis is a further analysis of the highest priority risks during which a numerical or quantitative rating is assigned in order to develop a probabilistic analysis of the project. Kung sa qualitative risk analysis, inaalam lang natin yung probability and impact ng risk. Dito sa QRA o quantitative risk assessment, dinedetermine natin yung overall effect ng isang risk through calculations and numerical estimation. Good example ay sa isang company. Kung di natin ma-eliminate halimbawa itong isang risk na to, ito yung magiging loss sa atin. So, bala yung QRA, pwede nating sabihin na optional, pwede nating gamitin, pwede rin hindi. Depende kasi yon dun sa level ng risk. Kung low risk, pwede mo namang hindi gamitin yung QRA. Pwedeng qualitative risk analysis na lang. And then sa QRA, kailangan nyo ng mas mahabang panahon para magawa. Bakit? Kasi, kailangan nito ng mas maraming details compared sa qualitative risk analysis. At yung continuation nitong 5 steps ng risk management model ay ipagpapatuloy ni Mr. Villanueva.
Good afternoon guys, I am John Ray Villanueva. This is a continuation of Mr. Barayang's report. We have the 4th step here, from the word itself. In this particular step, after the project manager identified and assessed risk, this is the time to plan a right response to every various risks that have been identified. Bilang project manager, risk manager, or any in position that handles risk, dapat alam natin kung anong response yung gagamitin natin for a specific risk. Dahil kung magkakaroon tayo ng maling response, it could lead to another set of risk and worst case scenario, hindi na masolusyonan yung risk dahil nadagdagan na ito ng nadagdagan. We have the first bullet here, risk avoidance. To make it simple, it is the complete eradication of a risk. Dito sa risk avoidance, iniiwasan ng isang entity ang isang klase ng risk. Dahil yung risk na ito, wala siyang chance na mabawasan or maibsan yung damage. Kumbaga, napakataas ng percentage na maapektuhan ng isang entity in every aspect kaya ina-avoid na yung risk. For example na lang, ay pag-iwas ng mga bank sa pag-o-open ng branch sa mga lugar na may political instability or may terrorism. We have risk mitigation. This response's goal is to decrease the possibility of losses. For example, sa mga buildings. Bawat buildings may sprinklers na makikita sa ceiling portion ng bawat palapag. Yung possibility na magkaroon ng sunog, hindi may iwasan yan at napakalaking loss kung mangyayari man. Pero yung losses dito, maaaring mabawasan gamit yung sprinklers. Risk transference. Napaka-common na nitong response na to, lalo na sa mga owners ng vehicle. Nung wala pang COVID, mataas yung cases ng mga vehicle accidents. Yung mga sasakyan, wasak na wasak, ganun din yung mga drivers, wasak din. So ano yung solution dito? Siyempre yung mga insurance company. Sila yung example na third party sa type ng response na ito. Sila yung nagsho-shoulder ng expenses and repairs sa vehicles, ganun din sa tao, pero magkaibang insurance na yun. Dito naman tayo sa risk deferral. Pag sinabi nating deferral, it pertains to postponement or delaying of an action or event. Pinakamagandang example dito ay sa stock market investment. Itong mga nakarang araw or linggo, may napanood akong news about Philippine Airlines. Napakalaking company nito sa Philippines. And syempre, napakataas ng value ng stocks nito. Pero noong wala pang pandemic yun. But now, they are experiencing a massive losses kasi nga gawa ng mga protocols at syempre, bawal muna talaga mag-travel worldwide para maiwasan yung pagkalat ng COVID. So for investors, this is not the right time to invest para sa company na yun. Kasi nga, hindi sila makakapag-operate ng maayos. So I think they can continue their investment when the country is considered COVID-free na talaga. We have risk acceptance here, also known as risk retention or yung pagpapanatili ng risk sa isang situation. This is not a business-related example, pero a good one. When a person get behind the wheel of a vehicle, technically, risk acceptance na yun. Alam ng isang driver na may chance na siya na maaksidente, madamage yung sasakyan, injury, ma-expose sa pollution, or death. Accepted na niya yung mga risk na yun para makapunta lang sa gusto niyang puntahan. But syempre, may mga factors pa rin siyang pinagbasihan kung bakit niya ginawa yung risk response na yun. So yung mga responses na to dapat may execute na agad as soon as ma-identify yung mga risk. Kasi preventative measures lang to at hindi yung pinakasolusyon para sa risk. At this point, you may revisit your risk log to assess the status of a risk once the preventative or mitigating action are complete. This is sometimes known as residual risk. So additional information, what is inherent risk and residual risk? Sa pagkakaintindi ko, yung inherent risk, ito yung type ng risk na hindi pa nabibigyan ng control or nag-exist siya na walang factors or set of actions para makreate siya. Sa madaling salita, risk lang siya na na-identified and nothing else. Dito naman sa residual risk, ito na yung naging bunga after ng controls and courses of actions implemented dun sa inherent risk or natural risk. We have the step number 5, risk monitoring and control. Effective monitoring and control also involves creating the right condition for openness and transparency in the project. A key role of the project manager is also to communicate risk to the stakeholders. Monitor and control risk. This is the process of implementing response plans, tracking identified risk, monitoring residual risk, identifying new risk, and evaluating risk process effectiveness throughout the project. Ito yung mga dapat na gawin when managers monitors and controls risk. Evaluating risk response plans that are put into action as a result of risk events. Evaluating the project for triggers. We're examining existing risk to determine if it's changed or should be closed out. Monitoring residual risk. Reassessing project assumptions and determining validity. Ensuring that policies and procedures are followed. Ensuring that risk response plans and contingency plans are put into action appropriately and are effective. Additional information about business case. Nag-research ako about dito. Sa pagkakaintindi ko, isa siyang written or verbal argument na ang purpose ay ma-educate yung mga decision makers and convince them to take some kind of actions. I think a business case can be a brief research about an existing problem. And sa loob ng research na yun, andun na lahat ng kailangan malaman ng isang decision maker to make an actions. Creating a risk-robust culture. Sa pagkakaunawa ko dito, pag ang isang project team ay may risk-robust culture, it can greatly benefit and secure the project that they are doing. It is because everyone in the team shares set of processes, knowledge, attitudes, beliefs, and values about how to deal with risk.